one, man. It's an honor to be among y'all, man. There's so many gifts in here, man. And I was just telling Coach out there, I'm not moved by crowds because I prefer quality over quantity. And I believe with everything in me that when people are called to be about the Lord's business, the right people will be there and people will hear it whenever they need to hear it. But I just want to honestly, man, acknowledge all y'all, man. I think everybody in here has been great in their own right. And it's a blessing, really, to be connected with y'all and to see y'all using y'all gifts for the right reasons. So I just want to salute all y'all, man. I don't think we give praise where praise is due enough, man, because of personal insecurities and things like that.
Keisha, as a ball player, how does it feel to even hear that your name is considered with beating some of the best males from Racine? And Racine has had a lot of talent.
That's pretty easy when you come from Center Street, 2032 Center Street, right? 10 steps away from John Bryan Community Center. Val Lou, right across the street. Felix Rogers, right across the street. Teddy Ford, right across the street. Andre McKinstry, around the block. Far, right next door. So I was surrounded by some greats. Everybody always talk about, what I did. But they have no idea how much they inspired and motivate me to be just as good as they were. So every time I'm at the center, I'm playing against Val Luz, Felix Rogers, Karan Butler, Carlos Butler. So it was pretty inevitable that I was gonna be good if I was extremely passionate and driven. They right next door.
Yes, and I know them fellas, they didn't make it easy for you.
Absolutely not.
Physical.
And I'm glad they didn't.
Yes.
Because when I started playing against girls, it was easy. I'm playing against guys every day.
Yeah,
so I thank y'all. I never told y'all, but that's my story for real.
Mr. Anderson has come in. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey through and how you get to this place in life?
Wow. My journey, born and raised in Queens, New York. Went to Archbishop Malloy High School. From there, I was a phenom, high school phenom. I was blessed to play the game of basketball, and I just took it. I had a great mentor, Vincent Smith, Kenny Smith, older brother. Now Kenny Smith works for TNT and everything like that. So I was just blessed to play the game of basketball, and I grew up in New York. I said it was hard-nosed basketball, night in and night out. I sat on my ball, and I watched the older guys play. I had dreams, and I just used to dream about making it. Rod Strickland, Kenny Smith, Pearl Washington, Mark Jackson, Boo Harvey, Kenny Patterson. The list, the guys are way better. No, the guys are better than me. So Lloyd Daniels. New York, it was full of great players. So I like to say I got all my skills from them, from watching them, interviews, Kenny Smith. So I patterned myself after them, doing the right things. So all the guys that was doing wrong, I just stayed away from. And when I went to Malloy, that was a dream come true for me. Archbishop Malloy High School. Catholic school. It was all boys at the time. It was real strict, academically strict. And Jack Curran. That's why one of the reasons I coach at Fish University, just to give back because of Jack Curran. So it's not a money thing and all that. It's an HBCU. I never experienced nothing like that because I went to Power U, Georgia Tech. We had everything. It was crazy. Now, we in the struggle somewhat to get gear and things like that. So it's good for me So I'm learning. I'm learning, but I'm learning. I'm hustling for my guys. My guys. And then I went to Georgia Tech, 89 and 91. I was at Georgia Tech. Went to the Final Four my freshman year. So everything happened, I think, for a reason, because I worked extremely hard, and I was like, any negative thing I stayed away from. We went to the Final Four, just boom, Georgia Tech. I played with Dennis Scott, Brian Oliver. That whole team today, we still talk to each other. Right, Coach Crimmins, once a week we text each other, see how everybody's doing. So it's more than basketball; it's about life. And from there, and the biggest thing that I love, I went number 2 in the 1991 draft. You can one person, I mess with him all the time, Larry Johnson. I should have been 1.
Yes.
They had Muggsy Bogues. They didn't want to take me. That's what I tell them. He be like, "Oh, Kenny, no." You know what I'm saying? So, and then my journey, I played in the NBA for 14 years. Look at, I'm 6'2", 180 pounds. So it's just about determination. And then that's when it started changing for me when I made the NBA. I was fighting demons. But I was playing basketball. That was my joy. But off the court, I was just fighting demons. I had two failed marriages, 8 kids. So I had to really understand what was going on. So it was just my life. And you don't like to say a lot of things, but I was hurt. And I know. Some of you watch my documentary, Mr. Chibbs. So there's certain things, I was molested as a kid. And I don't really, it's on my documentary.
Yes.
So, but 11 years old, 2 coaches. So when I made it, I just threw it under the rug. And then when I retired, everything was coming out. And I realized that. I don't like to make excuses, but I had to get help. Went to my therapist and got my life together. I'm still working on myself.
Yeah.
Every day.
I thank you for that. In dealing with adversity and being a therapist myself, I understand how dumping the garbage elevates the afterlife of basketball. Let you escape a lot of things. But the afterlife brings it all back to you, and you have to deal with all of that. So adversity is built for certain people to show other people the hope of you can get through.
Yeah.
That's what you did.
Yeah, I did it.
Only you could have did that for us, to show us that it doesn't matter what you've been through, it's how you come through. And you the end results of moving forward to Fitz.
Yeah.
And doing what you're doing now, it helps a lot of kids believe it don't matter. I've been to prison 18 years of my life. Here I sit in front of you, talking to Keisha Anderson. Look where I'm at.
Yeah.
You can't never let it get you down. It's a part of your life and your testimony that you're giving right now that's going to free somebody in the audience.
Yeah.
Say, oh, okay, I don't have to cry.
Yeah.
Oh, let me get this then.
Yeah.
Tony, may I add something about that? And Kenny, thanks for sharing that. And all of us that have played this game have had some struggle at some point. And all of us had to deal with it in different manners. And when I listen to Kenny, it's one of the things when you ask me about looking at players as an executive and drafting them, one of the things that I looked at always, you can look at talent, but one of the biggest keys I looked at is how do you overcome adversity? Because life is, Quan, you said it, life, basketball is a microcosm of life. Everything that happens in basketball is going to happen in your life in a different form. So kudos, Kenny, for getting the counseling you needed. Because when you're as driven as we've all been at being excellent at something, you are fighting demons all the time.
All the time.
It's the outside criticism. It's the, more than anything, it's the pressure that you put on yourself to raise your level of excellence. And even as normal as I might seem, well, my friends don't think I'm normal. They think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I admit it, is that when I was 30 years old at the end of my career, one of the things that I recognized as well, mental health is so important now. It wasn't talked about when we were coming up as players. You just dealt with things. If your coach yelled at you, if you had different issues, you just dealt with it, you internalized it. Or if you had great friends, you shared it with them and helped it. They helped you. But for black men for so many years, not going to counseling has hurt us so much.
Yes.
Never be afraid
Real
to
talk.
ask for help.
Real talk. You know, as we move on, and I want to go to Quan, because Quan, I know his story and I know Brandon's story well. And adversity, as being a coach and teaching that coaches are not prepared to teach the mental health conversation to their players. So I would advise any coach to get in the field is to understand how to have that dialogue about a kid coming from a broken home where mom is doing dope, daddy's not at home, 18 brothers and sisters and sharing food and all of those things. Adversity is a part of why we escape to the basketball court. In between these lines, we find our peace. So when they come off the court and sitting on the bench, you may see a kid who can't handle sitting on the bench. Somebody has to teach that kid patience. Somebody has to teach that kid life, that you're gonna have to be able to deal with life on life terms. That's what coaches are, extensions of fathers and uncles and all that. So Quan, in your adversity when they said it hurt your foot, what made you go on? What made you say, I have to complete this?
So I did 18 months in the Racine County jail before I actually got out to play basketball. So I had made a promise to myself when I was locked up that I wasn't gonna go back. So in the course of me getting out, I was blessed to get the ankle bracelet cut off to go visit a college down St. John Community College down in Carbondale. The assistant coach, because of what I got caught for, I had a sexual assault charge. High school, girl a freshman, I'm a senior, daddy press charges. So I mean, everybody go through it. So I end up calling John Hensey. I don't know if you know. He was a coach at Jackson State. He was a good friend of mine. I ended up calling him. He got me to try out down in Carbondale. Carbondale coach, they didn't take me because of my charge, and then I would have had to register as a sex offender, so they told me no. Then he got on the phone, said he couldn't let the talent go to waste, sent me to New Mexico. I signed with New Mexico. I actually talked to Bill Baniel before I signed. He said, yeah, that's a good division to go to, so I signed, went down there. And basically the rest is history. I'm sitting here with y'all today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And dealing with adversity is a part of an athlete being competitive enough to deal with life on life terms. Brandon has an identical type of story of overcoming some hard stuff. How did you get through the test anxiety? How did you lose a whole season where you were going to be the number one, you were going to be in the first round of the NBA draft and miss that whole senior season? How did you bounce back from that? And why did you bounce back?
Because I knew that I was always doing something. Trying to graduate from college was one of my biggest goals, and I knew that had to be one of my driving forces. I had little sisters and brothers at home that was looking up to me, as well as representing the city of Kenosha. So that constantly was my driving force. And what Coach is speaking about is my junior year, I was declared academically ineligible. I had failed a class, and the coaches was like, dude, you're not a dumb kid, so how could you fail this class? you know all the information. So finally they got me tested, and I had test anxiety. They diagnosed me with test anxiety. And from there, I was able to take all of my tests outside of the classroom setting. And when I got the first A, I thought they was playing with me, trying to pump me up. I'm like, ain't no way. I ain't got no A on this. And I continued getting A's. And that's when I broke down crying like, man, had I known this my freshman year, I probably could have graduated in 3 years. And as Coach said, I possibly could have had obviously a better chance to go to the NBA because I wouldn't have missed those first 8 games of the season, playing against the bigger schools like Michigan State and Wisconsin and so on. So again, my biggest driving force was my little sisters and brothers, and I wanted to represent the 100,000 people that was in Kenosha.
Thank you. We got to close because we got other things we need to do. We got a late start, but I thank you guys for sharing the information and made it powerful within the little bit of time that we had. Like I said, everybody that was here was supposed to be here. This was supposed to be here for this moment. So,
things. Today's NBA, there are a lot of young men who are falling wayside because of their decisions and their choices, and particularly Ja Morant. How do you guys feel about that, and what do you think can be done going forward for these new guys coming in? Because I'm seeing a lack of attention when it comes to mental health, choices, decisions. These young men are not making sound decisions and choices. How do you feel about that?
It's a great question, and I can tell you this: part of being an executive and part of being a coach, Coach Moore, Keisha and I have talked about it. We've all talked about it. Your job is to mentor. And the mistake that a lot of executives make, and a lot of people that surround themselves in the NBA think, once these young men get into the NBA and they start making millions of dollars, they're adults. No, you don't come from the backgrounds in which we come from. All of us come from some challenged backgrounds. And then all of a sudden you've got all this money thrown in your face. There's a whole adjustment period. And it's the team's job, it's the executive's job to put the right people in place with each player to help them deal with their issues. The coaches can't do it. When I was with the Bucks, we had a psychologist with the team, and he took time to build relationships with each player based on their experiences. And so what happens, I hate to say this, but a lot of the executives that didn't come from our culture, all they think, oh, he's gonna be okay. Oh, he's gonna make all this money. And what they don't understand is that the money that you make brings more problems, and it brings more people to you that are there to detract you, as we've all known about. You've got to learn to be able to be strong and step away from those people, to have the strength to do that, because we all get it. Oh, you think you're too good for us now. We've got different paths that we want to take. Keisha talked about wanting to get away from here and go away. Not because it was a great community, she wanted to experience life. And so one of the things that I understand, having gone to a good university and feeling that same pressure going to Northwestern, not wanting to be perceived as a dumb athlete, man, it's a struggle, but you hide it out here between the lines. But it's the school's responsibility, and the colleges are doing it now, and the pro teams are doing it, to make sure those athletes, those people, those young men get the help they need, because we don't all come packaged and ready to be sponsored like Grant Hill or Michael Jordan. Okay? So you got to have people within your organization that understand that and that these people will, the other executives or owners will listen to about it?
John Morant, it bugs me because he has his mother and father in his life. He grew up there. So it kind of, when that happened, it's all, and his father is the culprit. I believe that. So what I hit with you is the main, you have to have the strong mentor, but your mentor, and I have Vincent Smith in my life, and he's straight and narrow, and I'm coming from one of the worst cities in the world, New York City, when I was growing up. It was nuts. So, you have to have the strong, someone in your life that you trust. And I think he's, John Moran can't trust nobody. If your father's, it's just weird for me, that whole situation. Because he comes from a 2-parent home. How is he getting out of life?
And here's one of the reasons. I will try to be quick with this. He's come from what everyone says is a stable background. You have a 2-parent home. I've had players that I've dealt with. I'll give you John Henson with the Bucks, Sean Elliott. The first time they faced adversity, they were so sheltered from life that they didn't grasp. How is this happening to me? Now, with Ja, his dad has become an enabler. And sometimes, I hate to say this, you have to separate yourself from your family. And it goes back to one thing. If you got the training and the foundation when you're young, it's going to stay with you through your entire life.